So the first thing we want to say as we get into Python language basics is that the language semantics of Python is rather simplified in comparison to other programming languages. One of the reasons is because Python does not use as many brackets and braces in the syntax. Instead, Python uses whitespace and indentation. Well, whitespace, you don't have to type that, do you? And indentation, you don't have to type that. And so if we compare down here in this code block, here is a pseudo code in JavaScript that would be comparative to these lines of code in Python. And what we want to do here is compare this. See how that's just sitting there outside of brackets, but in JavaScript you have to put that inside brackets. And then after that in JavaScript you also have to include these curly braces, and you put everything for your for loop inside those curly braces. But in Python we don't have that. We simply only have this colon and just whitespace and indentation. So the indentation means everything that's indented to this level is nested under this for loop. But now here's an if statement with the same syntax, and everything that's indented from the if statement is being controlled by this portion of the if statement. Now here's another portion of the if statement which again falls under the control of the for loop, but inside here it's indented, so this print command is controlled only by this portion of the for loop. So you can see you've got whitespace and indentation, which controls your code flow, rather than as in JavaScript. In most other languages you're going to have different types of parentheses which control that flow. As a matter of fact, you could actually put this JavaScript code all on the same line like this, and it's harder to read, but it would still function. You could not do that with Python, right? It wouldn't function. It wouldn't understand which is the parent and which is the child. It's the indentation and the white space that makes that happen. Well, let's run this here, because what we're doing is creating this PyList variable, and we just want to see what this function outputs. Alright, so that's not too difficult to understand. We're creating a temporary variable called x, and this is going to loop through this. The first time x is going to be equal to 1, and it says okay, it is, so let's do that. Let's say the number is 1. The second time x is going to be equal to 2, and it's going to print this. This will be true, this will be false, right? The third time x is equal to 3, this will be false, and this will be false, and this will be true, so it'll print this one out, and that's why you see them being printed out in sequence down here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Objects and comments. Now we already talked about comments up above, right? To create a comment, all you have to do is control / again uncomment it. Obviously you can also capital 3, and that puts a comment in there as well. So those are comments. But we also want to look at when we do these self-defined functions, we do use brackets. These are really the only brackets that you have to worry about is the brackets that come after functions, and these could take an argument, or there could be no argument involved, right?